Hi everyone, it's Patty. Welcome to another video. Today we're going to get a little messy. We're going to use the new Brusho crystal color. It's like a powder that you can mix with water and paint with. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. They have red, yellow, blue, gamboge. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's an orange, and then this mossy green. And I made this card with it. I used this Beautiful Day stamp set. It's got this two large images that I think are really good for this look. A couple of sentiments, and we're going to do the Always Thinking of You. So I did the butterfly and I fussy cut it out. I made the background using this as well. And then I don't know what I'm going to put on the inside. So Always Thinking of You, I may not put a sentiment on the inside. I'm using watercolor paper for this, and I did just get a sample of each of the colors. So this is the mossy green, this is that gamboge, it's like an orange, the yellow, the blue, and the brilliant red. I'm not crazy about this color. I think depending on what you're making, you can use it, you know, maybe for grass or trees or things like that. But for the butterfly, I didn't want to use it. I did mix in this blue and yellow to get this green, so it's a different green. And with the watercolor paper, you can really mix your colors well. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is spray the background, and then we'll do the butterfly. So I'm going to put these aside and show you how I did that. So I have a piece of 5 1/4 by 4 of the watercolor paper, and this is how the watercolor paper comes. It comes in 5 sheets, and they are 6 by 9. So let's get this started. What I did was I put some of this down, and let me just show you. Patty Bennett came up with this idea. You don't want to open this whole cap because this powder will get everywhere, and it's very strong. It's very potent with the color. So she said put a push pin in. You can make a few holes. Stampin' Up! Tells you to put a few holes in and then put tape over it. I like the push pin look. And what you're going to do, you can either spray your water first. I kind of like this way of doing it. I'm just going to shake it, and it will only give you color where water is. So if you sprayed the water first, it would give you color. You'll see it show the color. For some reason, I like to put the color down and then spray it. And I'm just using water, and you can see what a cool look it is. And the more water you add, you can move it around with a paintbrush or with one of these water pens. We'll be using that later. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dry it with my heat tool. So just bear with me. I'm going to put this aside, and that's our background. We'll just let it dry a little bit. And now we're going to paint the butterfly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the butterfly in Versamark and black ink, and we're going to heat emboss it with clear embossing powder to pick up the black, because I don't have black embossing powder. So the way you do that is you get your Versamark, and I'm going to just cover the back of this. And then I'm going to get my black ink pad, and I'm going to ink it up. And let me just get my embossing buddy. I'm just going to run my embossing buddy here so that we don't get the embossing powder all over the place. And I'll close this up. And I'm just going to go up in the corner to save my paper here. And then I'm going to use my clear embossing. I have this just in a little container here. And we'll just run this over, or pour it over the butterfly, and then we'll heat emboss this. And sorry for the noise with the heat gun, but That's the way it needs to happen. So we'll just go like this, flick that off, put this back on top so we don't make a mess. And we'll use the heat gun as well. See that it's shiny? That's how you know that it's done, if it's all shiny all over. If it's not, you'll see powder. Okay, so now we're going to just color this in. And the way I did this was I took some of my blocks and I just put a little bit of water down on each block. And we're going to do, let me get another block. We'll do the red, the orange, and the blue. So, and the yellow, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do that mossy green. So you just tap this in. This is the yellow. And the more you put in, the more vibrant the color is. Here's the red. And on the watercolor paper, you can really do some good blending of different colors. Here's the orange. I hope this is all in camera. I'm just doing the same thing on each color. And then here's the blue. And the blue is really vibrant. I love the blue. So we're just going to put these back in. You don't want to get this stuff everywhere. And then using my aqua pen, I'm going to just kind of mix up the color. And then I'm going to paint where I want to put this color. So I'm going to put the yellow in here. And I think each one I do is a little bit different. Whatever you kind of feel is what you want to do. I love this butterfly, and I love the flower as well. So let's see, I think maybe I'll put some out here. And the more you do, you can let it dry, you can do another layer, and it actually seems to dry a little bit brighter than when you first put it on, which is really cool. So then I'm just going to kind of wipe this off. And let's do the red. And the red, you have to kind of be careful because the red will take over everything. I think red is just like that. So I'm going to do these inside pieces with the red. And you can really mix these up too and come up with different colors. So I'm just painting it, just like, you know, if you were using paint. But it's really cool because you can get, you know, again, how much you put in compared to how much water you use. You can make it more vibrant or lighter. Something you really have to play with. But it's pretty fun. I mean, I'm not an artist. I'm sure that artist people could do a much better job at this than I can. But I think it's fun. And see, I got some yellow in with the red. So I'm just going to, let me just get my, this is kind of dirty here, but I'm going to add more yellow here. Kind of another layer to see if I can hide some of that red. But I always think that nature is, it's perfect, but things aren't like we would color them. So I don't get too crazy if it gets a little bit mixed up or over the lines. If you looked at a butterfly, I'm not sure that everything is colored in the lines, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do some orange now. And let's see, we'll do orange out here. And the orange is kind of light, but it dries a little bit darker. And again, you can put more layers on if you want. Let's do, I'm kind of an even balanced person, so we'll do the same thing on each side. And I think we're going to make a green, and we'll do the blue. So I think that's it on the orange. Let me see if I can come back and add a little bit more. Make it a little darker. Isn't this great though? It's nice to paint. Okay, and let's get rid of the orange. You can put a little water in it to, if you squeeze this, a little water comes out and it helps you clear the brush. Okay, so now we're going to go with the blue. I think the blue is my favorite. And we'll just do these outside parts. Right there. We'll do it down here. There we go. Go right up to the edge. And again, I'll fill in that black a little bit. Let me get rid of some of these with a marker. You could use a Sharpie or one of the Stampin' Write markers, which is what I'll use. And get more blue. And we'll do up here. Everything is nice and balanced. Okay, so now I think I'll do the other parts in green. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get what I have with the blue and mix it with the yellow, and we get green. Just like we learned in school, right? Art class. And if you put more blue or more yellow in, you'd get a lighter or darker color. But I like this. Very easy to do. You can mix your reds and your yellows and blue and red, whatever. So we're gonna just finish painting this. And I already did one and cut it out, so you didn't have to sit and watch me fussy cut. But what you can do with this is dry it with the heat tool, or just let it dry and then just fussy cut it out. So I'm not going to go through that at this point. I have one made. It's a little bit different. As I said, everyone is a little bit different. So this is the one I made. I didn't put green in it. I did more of the blue. And I just took my scissors and cut it out. So we're going to use that one to attach to our border. I just want to get everything out of the way. And I'm actually going to just take this off so we don't make a mess. And we'll start with a clean sheet. It's probably a good idea to use a silicone mat or something like that underneath your paper. So here's our background, and it is a little warped, but we'll put it down with a lot of adhesive, and that'll be good. We've got our butterfly, and then I just have the sentiment. So here's the card again. I have always thinking of you, and I heat embossed that as well. So I did the same kind of thing, and I have a little piece. I used the watercolor paper again just because I wanted to keep it consistent. On the inside I used regular cardstock, but let me get this going. So what I'm going to do again is the Versamark, and that just gives it a little of the sticky, and then the black ink. I guess I could do blue ink, but I'm going to do black ink. And this strip is 3/4, and I'm not sure how long it is, but I'm going to just go in the center and then use my, do the fish tails on the ends. So that looks good. And let's get our embossing powder. I like the clear embossing powder because you really can get any color you want. It just picks up whatever color the ink is that you used. So I'm going to have to turn that on again. Oops. Let me make sure I got that covered. Okay. And I'm going to turn this heat tool on again, so just bear with me. It should be quick. Okay. Done with the noise. I'm going to use my triple banner punch. This is really cool. You can fit different size cardstock in. If you just look through the back, you can get your fishtail. You just kind of line it up and punch it. And you got your fishtail. I think I'm going to actually make that a little bit smaller, or cut it a little bit more. There you go. And then we'll do this side. You can do it with your scissors by hand. I always struggle with that, so I like to use this. Okay, perfect. Right, now we're ready to put everything together. So as I said, I'm going to use a lot of adhesive on this. I probably should use something a little stronger, but I don't have it with me. I'm actually filming a different room than where I craft, so I'm going to just put a lot of snail. You could put liquid glue down, or the tear and tape, but I'm just going to really put it down good to make sure that it's flat. And we'll take this as the inside. We'll just line this up. There we go. It's nice and flat now, and we'll put this up with some dimensionals. And we're almost done. It's really beautiful, and you know, as I said, I'm not a real artist. I'm sure people can really get carried away with this if they are artists and they know how to do their blending and watercoloring and all of that. But I thought it was very easy. I was a little nervous to try it, but I dove in and I like it. Okay, so we're going to put this toward the bottom. Let me just get this last piece off. And we'll put this kind of at an angle. And then we have our sentiment. And I'm just going to cut a strip here. And let me get one more piece. I like to use the edges for that kind of stuff. So here we go. It's easier to release it too. There we go. All right, I think this is it. And then on the inside, I just used, there's another stamp that came with this. Let me get it. It's just this thing. So I figured I'd use that on the inside. I really like this too. Happy birthday, may your day be as beautiful as you. I just thought it might be a little bit too big for here. You could stamp that on the inside. But I'm going to do this little blobs. I don't know what you'd call them. They almost look like little flowers, but, and I'm going to do that in Night of Navy. And I'll just do some on the bottom corner. Oh, I don't like the way that came out. Let's try that again. I pressed too hard. And then I'm just going to do one up there. All right. So we'll attach that and we are done. And the way you clean up, just so you know, all the blocks, I just wipe them with my Stampin' Scrub, or you can use a baby wipe if you wanted to, just to clean them off, or you could run them under water. They're a nice palette to use for your painting. Okay, there we have it. So these are the two cards with the butterfly. I hope you enjoyed this. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and stay tuned for my next video. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye.